to open the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors meeting. Today is January 7th, 2026. It's 6 p.m. First item on the agenda is the agenda review. There are a couple of revisions I need to make. The first one will be to move item 8B, land swap for Federal Street connector. That's going to be with Chip Sawyer. Move that to after the consent agenda. And then the next item where it says potential executive session, there will be an executive session related to a student matter. Any objections to those? Okay, so the agenda is accepted with my revisions. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
We lost the big screen for a second. We lost it for a second, Nelda. But
I'm still here.
yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Next item on the agenda is the visitor section. First, I'll check to see if there are any visitors in the room that wish to address the school board other than Chip. Doesn't look like there's anyone there. Are there any visitors online that wish to address the school board?
There are no visitors online, Nelda.
Okay, so seeing no visitors, either on or present, we're going to skip over the visitor section and move on to consent agenda. The consent agenda, there are no other revisions, so the consent agenda is accepted without objection. All right, so this is where I made my move. So I moved 8B, land swap for Federal Street connector to this spot. And Chip Sawyer, who's the Director of Planning and Development, is here to speak to us about this matter. Welcome, Chip.
Thank you, Nilda. Thank you, everyone, for your time tonight. I'm here to talk about the Federal Street multimodal connector. It's been called a couple different things over the years, but the idea for the project is older than I am and probably nearly everyone in this room. It's been an idea for a bypass. It's been an idea for lots of different things, but the city's coming around to finally being able to construct most of the project. And the idea behind the connector project is to basically take a north-south corridor that's been used parallel to Main Street for a long time by this community and make sure different sections of it are improved to improve pedestrian connections, traffic safety, various different things. For instance, part of the project includes building a new street extension off of the end of the state, the SASH, we call it the SASH, the St. Albans State Highway, putting a new traffic light at that intersection near SATEC, which would bring so many different benefits. Letting traffic swing around, cross Nason Street, get onto Limna Drive, put sidewalks on Limna Drive, or one sidewalk on Limna Drive, and coming through here, Allen Street, Catherine Street, Federal Street, and on to Lower Newton. And one of the commitments that we're making when we build this project is to make it that north-south route. And that means we need to do something about the intersection here where Stebbins Street and Market Street, Catherine Street, and Allen Street all meet. Right now, there's no primacy for north-south traffic. Actually, it's Stebbins Street gets the right of way. Everyone else has to stop. It's not the best intersection in the world. If we start running more traffic through here, that intersection is going to become a problem. And we're trying to keep traffic from having to stop at Catherine and at Allen. That's supposed to be the main traffic now. And our engineers have come up with a plan where we can bring Catherine Street a little bit this way to the west to line it up a little bit better with Allen Street so that Stedman Street traffic can stop and Market Street traffic can stop. But in order for that to happen, we need a little bit of land from Maple Run. I think you all have a visual in front of you. I have a couple copies you could share, but I think everyone has it. And you'll see there's a little red line that would represent the new boundary of Maple Run versus the city street, versus the new Catherine Street being shifted this way a bit. There are a couple different versions of that plan. It's very conceptual right now that you have in front of you. But one of the main concerns is that if Maple Run even wishes to consider this, it would take out some of the parking, and nearly half the parking that's lined up right along the street. So we have to figure out how we would replace that parking if that land were to be transferred to the city. Our engineers have come up with one concept that shows us giving Maple Run some of the land here at the end, that sort of rounded piece of land at the end of the street here, and then locating some supplemental parking to replace what would be lost from Maple Run. But we've also talked about the possibility that the garage could possibly be demolished and parking could be located there, which actually may eliminate the need for a large land swap because Maple Run might not need much extra land if you're able to put parking there. My only goal tonight is to just introduce this project. We don't need action tonight, but
I can explain what our attorney is.
right, yeah.
But I want to let you finish too.
Yeah. This is a conceptual plan. I think we would need to come up with a final design based on what Maple Run thinks it would need to replace the parking that might be lost. We would explore the demolition of the garage, how we would both participate in that if that's the way it works. If so, does it become a land swap, or is it just a conveyance of some land from Maple Run to the city and the construction of new parking where the garage was? But like I said, just sort of introducing the idea tonight.
As many of you have heard me say, whenever we do anything with real estate, it has to go to the voters. Because this is a road highway project, there's actually a piece in the law that says it doesn't have to go to the voters. This board is the one that has to approve a land deal, when land is being grabbed for highway improvement, which is what this is considered. And talking with our attorney, Chip and I have been talking for the past month about this, about what's the right route and do we have to go. We were all ready to bring a article on the ballot for the town meeting, but our attorney came back 2 weeks ago and said, no, I've actually found where if there's highway, if you're doing improvements for highway, roadway, and you can show that you can do a real estate transfer, whether it be a swap or just a taking of the land to do this. And the board would have that power. The board's the only approval we would need for that. Because there isn't really any, there is that carve out in law. So you have the authority to do this. Chip and I haven't talked much since before winter break. You know, we're talking about the garage. We're also talking about we need more parking here. So it might be somehow can we gain a few spaces because when we're open, especially when this room's in use during the middle of the day, people are parking all over the place. It's hard to control. But I think this will be a win-win situation for both. I actually drive through this intersection a lot, and to see it improve, I think would be not only a safety for the citizens, but we have quite a few students that park down here during the day. And so I think it would be helpful for anyone who's on foot, pedestrian, to make that intersection safer.
Questions for Bill or Chip?
So is the first photo,
Yeah.
is that what's current?
No, what's current is, if you see there's a long black line with a small dash and a long, that kind of goes around in a box at the end there. That's our current line, and we have parking spaces that face the road along that line that are basically parallel with the parking spaces you see there right now up against the pink garage. I hope I described that well enough, because
Yeah.
I won't be able to kind of see that. And so you see the little wedge that's there? That would be the swap. The city owns, right in this chip, the city owns the grassy area that's out
We do,
to the south of the parking lot.
yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I got just a question about I guess more about the intersection is, from the looks of it, if you're coming out of here and going towards 7th Street, is that just a really sharp left under this plan, or is it not intended that traffic goes from Catherine Street onto 7th Street?
It is a sharp left, but the sort of pedestrian refuge that you see in the brick pattern would be more of just a raised, it wouldn't be a fully curbed island. It would be, it's what's called a mountable surface, so that if a car or a large truck needs to take the turn, they can mount the surface just to get onto 7th Street.
Okay, so if someone's like crossing the street there, it's not intended that they would like stop and wait for traffic out on that brick area?
Correct, they should keep going.
Okay.
The mountable surface is meant to get traffic to the 7th Street stop, to sort of shift them over to sit there. We want them in a space where they can see the traffic coming from Allen and from Catherine, so that they know when to enter the intersection.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
What's the next step?
We would come to the next meeting to ask for the board to approve this land swap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we need to look at, is demolishing the garage feasible? How do we participate in that? If not, then it's a matter of giving Maple Run most of the land at the end for the supplementary parking that you see on the first alternative.
What Mary Ann just asked me quietly, as Chipper, what's in the garage? We use it for salt storage for snow plowing. We've identified other places on our other campuses where salt storage could happen. It just happens to be the place where we do it right now. We have some other things that are used that are in there, but we can easily store those at other locations. But that two-thirds of that garage is salt storage.
Thank you. All right, looks like we're stuck.
Yeah, so I'll work with Chip. Before the next meeting, we'll confirm if it is the next meeting or if there's some other things we need to bring back before we have to postpone it.
Perfect. Thanks, Chip, for coming in and giving us that overview.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chip.
Thank you.
Okay, next, I have to correct my consent agenda discussion here. I forgot to state that there are 5 items under consent agenda: approval of minutes, media packet, donation, internal financial control checklist for schools, and obviously the board annual work plan. Do we want to pull any of those out for discussion? Hearing none, then I am going to restate that the consent agenda is accepted without objection. Thank you. Okay. Next item on the agenda is reports to the board. We have student board representative report. I think I saw a couple students here. Who's going to present? Or both of you, it's fine.
We are currently pivoting how we are going about our goal projects for the Maple Run School District goals. We are planning on setting up times to give presentations about each goal and what we're planning on doing to groups of students so that we can better understand the opinions of the entirety of the school population and better involve other students in student voice work.
Thank you. Rose, do you have anything?
Basically most of the same things. We're just having to switch more to discussion-based than project-based. But yeah, I think as of right now, we're in that transition period, so there's not too much to report on.
Okay. Any questions for our student reps?
you have,
Hearing none?
I got one.
Oh, we got one?
Do you have like a specific number of meetings or presentations in mind, or are you just playing that by ear?
I think we're gonna do just as many as we can. I don't know what that number is, but we're gonna see, because I think we're basically scrapping the focusing on goals and instead just completely pivoting to the discussions. So as much as we can get in per year, probably one per like goal each year would be my guess as like a minimum.
I think we were doing like a set amount of time for every goal, so we'd focus on one at a time rather than doing like multiple different meetings with the same goal, the same time, like going down the list so that we can better give attention to the goals.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Okay, thank you, students, for your report. We're moving on to old business. The first item is the Vermont Education System Reform Status and Update. I have a couple things for that section. First of all, at our last meeting, the board wanted us to me to contact the school boards to thank them for coming to the session that we had with the legislation, and also to see if they wanted to get together for that joint letter. So the communication I sent to them was, "Dear Franklin County School Boards, I would like to thank you all for joining us for a collaborative session with the Franklin County Legislative Delegation on December 11th. I truly appreciated the thoughtful positions shared and the open, productive dialogue. As a follow-up, I am reaching out to see whether the Franklin County School Boards would be interested in sending a collective joint letter to Governor Scott, members of the Vermont legislation, and education committee leaders. I have attached a draft letter along with key points from our meeting for your review and consideration. Thank you for your engagement, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts." So that was sent to the chairs, or in one case, it was the vice chair of the school boards, the 5 school boards in the area here. And it was also copied to the superintendent. That went out during break. So I have to say, I haven't heard anything from anyone yet. But I thought we could definitely give everybody at least this week to catch up on their emails, etc. So that's what I've done so far. Can't send anything to the legislators until we hear from the school boards that there is, consensus to do this. And I'm hopeful that we hear from them. I think the fact that the superintendents were copied on it, maybe the superintendents can remind the board chairs to contact me. So that's what I have for that. Bill, do you have anything for that?
I would just tell you, I didn't get a chance to tell you today, Nilda, but yesterday I know 2 boards, either one board I think had a discussion about it, and one was planning to have a discussion in the next week because they wanted to talk about it with their board before they took any action, which seemed
Great.
appropriate, so I'm glad it's hitting agendas.
Yeah, good. That's encouraging,
Yeah.
actually. Thank you. Anyone else have anything related to the Vermont education system reform status update?
Sorry.
Bless you.
Nilda, can I just add one thing that I would say, if yesterday's any indicator in the legislature, just what happened in the Senate, and then within 24 hours, the idea was revoked, you're going to hear many ideas about education funding and education structure. I wouldn't jump to any conclusions, it would be my piece to say, until you watch more happen. Literally, things are moving very fast, and it's,
Right.
different things are happening. It started right on the first day. First speaker in the Senate.
Great. And then today, Governor Scott gave his State of the State message, which was mainly about education.
Yeah.
And I caught most of it. I missed the end of it. So I'm going to try to find it on rebroadcast, but basically, what I got from it was that Act 73 is still alive and well, and we're going to do the best we can to try to make it happen. That's what I got out of it. He's really wanting to make sure that people don't forget about it. And he also did, part of his discussion was also thanking the teachers. He did a section on teachers and thanking the teachers and explaining to them that this had nothing to do with them and how well they were doing the work, and that this was looking at, the cost of education across the state of Vermont, and corollarily, whatever, if that's a word, across the country, that there are a lot of costs. And of course, everybody points out that our population has gone down, right? So that's always a factor. It was interesting, and I would really encourage everyone to hear it, listen to it if you can find it online, because it was interesting. Anything else, Bill, from that section on the agenda?
That's all I had.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is potential action item, just for information. It does not have to be approved tonight. We can approve it at our next meeting, but the next meeting is the last meeting that we can approve it, this budget, and to stay within our guidelines. So I'm hoping that Bill and Bree are ready to rock about this budget context, and I'm going to turn it over to them.
We got it. So each meeting I try to shorten up the context, but I think it's important every time we talk about it to make sure the context is there, because we're not the only ones that see this all the time, and people see our presentation. So as the board asked us to task us with, and you said it really well back in December, our job is to make a budget that achieves the goals of Maple Run. So I just want to reiterate, we believe this budget does that. I've been out talking to the teachers about the budget. One of the things I always say, and I know you've heard me say it before, our budget should be the story of what we're trying to accomplish and how we're doing that. And I really believe this one is. To achieve the 5 goals of rigorous academics and expectations, constant policies to address bias and behavior issues, support services for students and families, opportunities for family and community engagement, and community education on action and inclusion. Down at the bottom of the slide, and I've said them before, so I'll just kind of point them out that they're there, are what we're focusing on this year. Those are our objectives this year. And you've seen those in our objectives, key results, and success measures. And I think what we're seeing right now is good. We're seeing good progress for our students. We're not where we ultimately want to be, but we're growing, and we're growing each year, which is a tremendous reflection of the hard work all our staff and our teachers are doing with our students. And we're seeing that in attendance. You've seen this. Megan and Alexis presented this back in the first meeting in December, so I just kind of put this here as that. We're seeing growth in all areas. The behavior, that year, 3 years ago in '99, we know we have some data errors in there, but that's the data we have. So we're not gonna not show the data. And so that's really 4 majors or less. So the next slide. While we've had all those successes, the biggest challenge we have right now, we've talked about this, is loss of enrollment. We're losing students, especially at the pre-K level. And we expect next year, this is projected enrollment for next year, and we project once next year's 8th grade becomes the 9th grade, those 2 years will keep BFA pretty stable, but we're losing students in the younger grades. I wish I could answer the why question. I get that anytime I put this slide up. And I don't know the reason why. But we're not seeing much of a change. I think, Aaron, I'm correct to say, not much of a change in the homeschool numbers from what we've had previous years. Aaron keeps track of all that data for us, so that's why I asked him. We are seeing a great increase in free and reduced lunch. So more and more of our students are coming from an economic disadvantage, and the biggest increase in that is in St. Albans town. The city is staying pretty stable. Where they've been at a high percentage, but the town is growing rapidly, and students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So the next slide is just to bring back what we looked at the forum. You worked with the administrative colleagues and 2 members of the public to really kind of say what's the ranking of the goals if we had to look at that. The budget we're bringing, we didn't have to really look at cutting any programs or services. So we're able to make this work. But this is work that really helped us as a team to look at it, and where we were able to find savings was a lot of the non-staffing areas. So, and that's some of the feedback that you gave us. And so then the leadership team took that and had very similar goals around trying to keep as many programs as possible. The support in the high level instruction, and really that third one that's in the center, I'm glad it is our support in our climate work. You've all heard the celebration we had when we didn't even know it was happening. But this past fall, when the International Institute for Restorative Practices wrote up a case study about our work here and how much the self-reporting of student belonging and how that started to rise, and literally within a year later, our academics started to rise. So we know we're focusing on the right thing, and that's in alignment with research. The thing that's been a little harder this year, but has been tackled really well by the leadership team, is using the class size policy that this board adopted to say, hey, wait a minute, we have enrollment trend differences between our buildings. How do we use that as a lever to make sure that we're balancing? In previous years when we had cuts, we basically had a cut per allotment per student. And so we couldn't do that this year. And then of course, we agreed with making cuts in non-instructional areas as much as we could, which we did a lot of that. So, Bree, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay. So some of the highlights in our third draft of the budget is that we incorporated $1.2 million from our capital reserve into as an offsetting revenue to then help lower the amount of money that we're asking from the state of Vermont. And the total expenditures have been are lowered a little bit more, which is a 2.44% increase over last year's budget. So coming in at $79,653,912. Again, reiterating the one position that was cut from city school. It's been an unfilled position this year. And with us working to get the classroom, the class size policy in place also, that position wouldn't be a needed position in there as well. And then our long-term weighted average daily membership, it has increased since last year, 2.7% over last year, and it's at 3,995.97. That number we believe is almost as accurate as possible. They are still working on the back end with this, our IT department is working on the back end with the Agency of Education just to make sure that everything is jiving correctly, because this number was changing daily, especially during the holiday break that we were on. It was a daily number that was moving around. And then our revenues, they are actually not at the 22.2 million. They are going to be in this budget. I'm sorry, that was a typo. The revenues are going to be, I think, 21 million. I have it right here. Sorry. It's not on this sheet of paper. $21 million-ish. 21,700,000, I think it was, which it'll show up later on in this presentation. And then our estimated educational spending is down. So moving on, please. So again, this is a little bit of a reiteration of what I just spoke about. So our budget is the 2.44% increase over last year. And then we're looking to get the estimated education spending of $57,953,912, which then brings it to our estimated per pupil spending as $14,503. That's a 3.36% decrease over FY26 budget. In FY '26, we are at $15,007. So I'm very excited about that. And then in wages, we have over the second draft of this, the wages went up a little bit with speaking to some of the principals. They took a little bit of money from their supplies funds and they put some into their stipends account, so then they can work to have more committee works throughout the school district. Things like social emotional learning committees that we have, or MTSS, things like that. They felt that that was very important to continue having those committees. So we increased that budget from the second draft to this third draft. So with that, the employee benefits would then increase a little bit as well over those two separate drafts that we have on the budget, because there's always the FICA and Medicare, the child care contribution, and VISTERS if it's applicable for that. Before moving on, are there any questions on this page? Okay. So then moving down a little bit more, and it is also attached to your board packet as item 7B FY27 third draft of the budget revenues and expenditures, because this is really, really tiny. So sorry about that. But we're trying to fit in as much information as we can. But this is the breakdown of what FY25's actual expenditures were, FY26's working budget, FY26 actual and encumbered expenses, and then the FY27 proposed budget, along with the percentage change over the prior year listed in there. So we can keep going on those.
Bree, can I just interject something?
Yeah.
As you said, the handouts might be easier.
Yes.
And then I just realized as I was putting together the presentation this afternoon, I forgot to add the tax page in,
Okay.
which I know is in the handouts, but not in the presentation.
Okay. So we can jump over to that document
Yeah,
then?
probably to the tax page.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is the one that has the green on it. It's the modeling estimated tax rate that looks like this. Sorry,
Yes.
I missed it.
So it's in your packets, it's called 7B FY27 tax rate cal.pdf.
That's the one. Yeah, because this is important for everyone to understand the
Yep.
tax rates. Yeah,
Thank you.
I apologize.
So going back just for a smidge second, sorry. On the expenditures and the revenues, not much has really changed since the second draft. So that's why I'm not going through it in as much detail as we did. But if you have any questions, please let me know. But then you can also compare from the previous draft of the budget that was posted versus this one. If there's anything you want me to look at, I can look into more as well. What's that? Oh, sorry. Okay, so jumping into the FY27 tax rate calculation. So on the left side, we have the FY26. That's what we use for FY26, and then on the right side is the FY27. So I'm gonna focus on the FY27 one. So up there, the biggest thing is our long-term weighted average daily membership. It did increase by 80 counts, and it is not frozen yet, but this is, I think, the most accurate number that we've received to date, and it is, yes, increased. Our budget for FY27 is $79,653,912, and then our local revenue, that's where the typo was, it was $21,700,000 that we're estimating that we're going to receive. Looking for an educational spending of $57,953,912. So with that said, our education spending is the $14,503, which is $504 less over last year, and that's the number, or the 3.36% decrease is what's going to be shown on the ballot. So, we aren't asking for so we're asking for more, budget, obviously. But it's per student that is in our school, or per weighted student in our school, we're asking for less money overall to educate our students. And we do still qualify this year and next year, we will still qualify for the proposed tax relief. So then we'll see that in there as well. So our new proposed tax education rate is 1.6323. And then moving down just a little bit, so St. Albans City School, or the City of St. Albans, is coming in as their, I just lost the word.
CLA.
CLI, thank you. Common level of appraisal at 144%. They need to be reappraised, or they just got reappraised, sorry. So that's why their number is so high, whereas St. Albans Town, their number keeps dropping year over year because they haven't been reappraised in quite some time. And then Fairfield, they were reappraised just a couple of years ago. That's why their number is over that 100% threshold. So the City of St. Albans is going to see a 9.65% decrease in their tax rate over last year. St. Albans Town will see a 10.18% increase, or 10.18 cent increase, sorry, not percent, cent increase on their tax rate. And then Fairfield will see a 5.32 cent increase over last year. So then going down below is the estimated annual impact on a house site. These are big, I'm gonna scream and glaring words that these are all estimates. More than 50% of our homeowners in the town, city, and Fairfield receive some sort of tax relief on their tax bills. So, and I have it right here. So Fairfield, 50.4% of their residents receive a tax credit. St. Albans Town, 59.8% of the residents receive a tax credit, and St. Albans City, 50.75% of the residents receive some sort of tax credit on their tax bills. And the household tax credit for 2025 was $115,400.
Yeah.
So that's what their income level is, but then there's many other factors that go in there. So they do have a tax calculator on the Agency of Education's website, and then people can put in their own personal information to see what their proposed taxes are for the town that they live in. Did I capture that correctly?
Yeah.
Fully?
You got it.
Not
You got
correctly,
it.
fully.
You got it all.
Okay, perfect.
The tax piece is the hard piece.
I just want to check, over in the CLA column for FY26, there's what I'm certain must be a typo for a city where it looks like they decreased by 50%. And I just want to make sure that typo, in whatever form you're using, the cells between 26 and 27 aren't interdependent, are they? So that typo wouldn't have been replicated in the 27th cell.
Right. So I believe that is a typo from potentially copying it over. So
Either it's a typo or I got really
right.
my tax bill.
Well,
Yes.
also, this is showing the old CLA, this old SCLA for the city, that's 77% prior to the reassessment.
Okay.
yes. Yeah. So I'll make sure to get that fixed when we post it.
I'm just mostly just making sure that
Your tax
what
is correct?
what we're looking at for 27 doesn't have a similar typo, which I assume it does
No,
not.
it does not. No. So, no, I think what I had done is copied it over and then made sure that this one on FY27, because I've been focused on that one, was filtering correctly, but I think that one potentially caught a bad formula by
Okay.
chance. So I'll double check it and get it fixed.
Yep,
So,
that
yes,
works. Thanks.
for sure. Okay.
Just
Yes.
I just think it's really great information to be able to communicate to our community about the ADM and the yields, because how it significantly changed things. So we didn't decrease our budget, right? We increased our budget by $2 million, and yet look at how it all, you know,
Right.
sifted out
Yeah.
because of these. This input that we don't even receive until far after we
Yeah.
pass the budget.
Yeah.
Develop it, let alone pass it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Was there anything? Okay. I don't think there was anything else
No, I think that's it.
for that part. Okay. Any other questions? Perfect.
Bree, would I be correct in saying we don't think any other numbers are gonna change? We think everything's solid?
We do think that everything is solid. The only thing that we don't have any idea about is Title II and Title IV. This year we received about $500,000 from those two from the Agency of Education for those two grants. They say that those are going away, so we work to put those items that were in that grant back into the local budget. Should we get that money, we will try to work to get those funds to hit back into the Title II and Title IV grant. So we could be, if the world was great and we could get what we wanted and we got that $500,000, we would see an additional $500,000 extra in surplus.
But yeah, at this point, we're being conservative. And not-
Right. At this
not
point, we're
looking-
saying 0 and expecting it's not coming. But that would be the only thing that we don't know about. So we're acting as if we don't have it.
So I guess my question, Nilda, to the board is, are there any changes the board would like to see? Because this is basically, we're giving you our final piece of work on this, unless there's further direction from the board, because we don't think anything's gonna change. Brianne alluded to the long-term weighted average, ADM. I actually didn't have a chance to talk to you because an email came in at 4 from AOE and our data manager saying they both confirm the data's right, so we're gonna sign off on it tomorrow morning.
Yay! Okay,
That number is stable.
awesome.
So that is stable.
That is, that number's not.
Perfect.
So, prior to the presentation, I was gonna say, let's find this baby and get out of here. But in light of the fact that there are 2 typos, and I know that's not a big deal, and you guys have explained them, I would really like to see the document that we take action on be the corrected final version. And since we have the grace of 2 weeks to do that, I know I'm being a little bit of a stickler on that, but in light of, just trying to be as accurate as we can, that's my request. I could be turned around on that, certainly, if everybody wants to just vote it in, but I think we just need to do our due diligence and get the right numbers in the boxes.
Okay. So
I appreciate a lot, all the work. There's been a ton of work, and we are really, really lucky that Bree and Bill, and Bree and her team and Bill have looked at every line item on the budget and made adjustments either up or down based on what's going on. So don't take this the wrong way, Bree, that's kind of a stickler, but, we also, are aware that over the years, sometimes a typo gets carried over year after year. It doesn't get fixed, this one is obvious to you, so I know you're gonna fix them, but
okay.
anyway, enough on that for me. Anybody?
So that's fine with me. I just want to point out that in that FY26, that was pulling from FY25 data. So it was looking at FY26 and FY25 data.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got you.
Got it.
I got you.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm being a little bit of a stickler on this, and how's the rest of the board feel? Does anybody disagree with me?
Where were the typos, Bree?
So
I wasn't following you.
what I'm thinking she's talking about is the SCLA percentage for St. Albans City.
Right.
And potentially Fairfield, at that negative 51% and negative 27%.
Ah, the percentages.
Yes.
I see what you're talking about.
Way down there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So I might, if those numbers are correct, I might pull in FY '25 also, just as a reference point to look at those numbers.
Yeah, because I was gonna say those SCLAs look correct from what I remember.
Those are correct,
Yeah.
for sure. It could just be that percentage.
Yep.
That's, yeah. But, okay.
so I didn't get really an answer from the board. Are we okay with waiting another meeting and approving the, I want to say corrected version?
Yeah.
Yeah. No strong objections to that? Okay, so I know this makes these finance people sad, but please bring this back to the next agenda so we can have the final action on it. Thank you. Any other questions?
When do we,
Okay.
when do we have our
21st.
meetings to go out to the public and
Oh.
discuss these things?
Oh,
Like we did.
like we did last year. So we have we always do a board presentation. We have to 10 days prior to the election. And we usually have, and we're gonna be talking about that later on in the agenda.
Yeah, it's further down in the agenda.
Okay.
Yep.
And the deadline to get our budget into the state is,
We have to have it, the folks at town clerk's office like to have all our warning and budget information the Friday after Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
Tradition. They like it as soon as possible. I mean,
And our next
they would
meeting-
love it tomorrow, frankly, but we always tell them that that's the week we can get it to you.
and our next meeting is Wednesday after
The Wednesday of the meeting, so we'll be fine.
Okay. Moving on, new business. 8A is tuition rate. This is an action item, so I'd like to get a motion to set the FY '27 tuition rate for the MRUSD non-resident students as follows. Grades kindergarten through 6, 19,000. Grades 7 through 12, 23,000. And Northwest Career and Technical Center, 14,000. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second, come on.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. Bree, anything you want to say about this?
Yes, so looking at what the FY '25 actual costs came out as, that's why we have either increased or kept the same FY '26 approved rate. So right now, K through 6, you'll see the asterisk. MRUSD does not have any tuitioning students into our district for K to 6. We only start receiving some of our tuitioning students 9 through 12. So looking at what the FY '25 actual was over in our stat book, which is a book that it's a worksheet that the Agency of Education comes out with every single year, which helps all school districts around the state of Vermont to best determine what our tuition rate should be. So we could have charged in FY '25 $22,870 for tuition. With our increase of our tuition rate or our budget for last year was 2%. I only had it increased up, or our FY '27 proposed to 23,000. And then Northwest Career and Technical Center, the actual was $12,811. We had a hard time last year in FY '25 hiring for an electrical teacher, as well as partway through the year, we were finally able to hire for a literacy teacher. It Was it
Math.
math or literacy teacher? Okay, math teacher. So that's why this number came in lower. We have not hired yet for the electrical teacher. I know that it's still posted, but we were able to hire for a full-time teacher for math. So with that being said, I'm proposing to keep that number the same over FY26. And then should we be able to bill back to the sending schools, we always can. There's a little tuition calculation spreadsheet. If it's over, we can bill back if the cost is over 3% but less than 10%. We can get that catch-up amount from them. So that's why I've put in those proposed numbers for tuition.
Thank you. Any questions for Bree? You ready to take a vote on this? Okay, this will have to be a roll vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Nakuma?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Yolda votes yes. Thank you. Next item is item 8B, and this is also an action item related to the high school choice numbers. So I'd like a motion to set the fiscal year 2027 high school choice numbers at 40 students going out and 35 students coming in. Who wants to make that motion?
So moved.
For discussion. Thank you. Second for discussion?
I'll second it, Joanna.
Thank you. Okay, discussion. Bill, do you want to speak to this?
Thank you, I would. Every year, the board has to set the high school choice numbers. The number that goes out is a calculation of population for small high schools. I forget exactly where the demarcation line is, but it's, I think it's a max of 10% per grade, or no more than 10 students per grade that can go out. So because we have 4 grades in our high school, that gets to 40 students that can go out. So you are required to set that outgoing number. You can set the incoming number, whatever you want. We had, until about 3 or 4 years ago, we were around 32, we upped it to 35. Currently this year, we have all 35 spots filled, with 8 still remaining on the wait list. Out of the 35 that are here right now, 7 of those are seniors, and if all others return, we'd have 7 spots to fill. I would remind the board, under the school choice, this is not tuition, this is school choice, the money does not follow the child. So if a child comes in, we do not receive money from another district. Where if a student came from a town that did not operate, which we call tuitioning, as in Sheldon does not operate a high school, the town of Sheldon, or the district that Sheldon's in, pays the tuition for those kids. So there's a difference. People confuse tuition and choice all the time. That's why every year when we have this discussion, I go through it. You understand?
Thank you. Any questions for Bill? Hearing none, let's take a vote on the motion. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Harley?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Nakuma?
Yes.
Susie?
Yes.
Yolda votes yes. Thank you. Item 8C.
We will need a motion, but I want to set the stage first. According to Vermont statute, we are required to do a budget informational meeting 10 days preceding the town meeting day. So that locks us into February 23rd through March 2nd. administration has recommended that we look at Wednesday, February 25th as that date. It's a Wednesday, so we're used to Wednesdays. And it is during break, but we're used to that too, because that happens to be the way it falls every year. So if we don't have any objections to that, let's get a motion for that, please.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So that motion, I believe, is to set the informational budget session to Wednesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. at the central office. So we're going to take a vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Marianne,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Susie,
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Okay, thank you very much. Next item is item 8D. You have in your packet as attachment 8D a draft of the warning that needs to be put on the ballot. This does not need to be approved until it needs to be approved on the 121 meeting, along with when we approve the budget. So the purpose tonight is to look at the warning, find any typos or issues or errors, if there are any, point them out, any changes that someone would suggest. We have to make sure it's not against the regulation, because the wording is pretty specific, right, Bill?
That's correct, and I would point everyone to Article 3, which is our capital reserve article. You'll notice that has gone through our attorney twice, because we're talking about setting aside money that from our fund balance for the use to offset tax revenues. So this has been reviewed twice by our attorney. And I think the last one came through, right, Aaron? This has been adjusted since the
That's what's
one.
on here.
Yeah, that's what I figured. There was a word that got changed literally in like the past 24 hours. But that should be that. The rest of it should look rather similar to all of you for everything else you've seen. That's just where the major changes, if you're used to seeing the warning each year, Article 3 has changed.
Anybody have anything to say? Charlie, looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, so just theoretically, I don't think it's gonna happen, but theoretically, Article 4, the budget could pass, but Article 3, the buy down could not. And if that were to happen, basically, it goes forward, it's just then there's no tax relief. Or there's not the 1.2 million in tax relief. Would that be correct?
Yeah, yes, technically, I would want to check with legal counsel about how the board can bring that back to the voters if that were the case.
Okay, so I think it seems like a far-fetched scenario where that would happen.
I think so too.
Stranger things have happened.
Well.
This is true, Mary.
I was gonna ask.
Okay, Joanna.
Yeah, I would just say that, I think we could hopefully try to do some education ahead of time and literally make a copy of what Article 3 says and explain what it means, so people don't get tripped up on it. Is it gonna, make a difference for every single voter? No, but it will definitely make a difference for some, so.
Good suggestion.
Thank you. Anyone else related to the warning?
I just have a quick, on Article 4, the 3.36% is in parentheses. Is that because it's a placeholder or because it's a decrease?
Because there's a decrease.
I'm missing what you're saying, Charlie.
In Article 4, where it's the per pupil education spending, the 3.36% is in parentheses, and that Bill just explained it's because it's a decrease, so it's represented by that.
again, was another attorney question, just to make sure which way was better, to have a negative sign or parentheses, and he advised you
Yeah.
parentheses.
Okay, so it looks like we've discussed the warning. If no one else has any comments, we move on. Next item is 8D, board elections, and we have 3 board members that are up for election for 2026. Suzanne Kenyon, Jack McCarthy, and Amanda Giroux. And anybody have any comment on this? Is everybody going to reapply?
I am.
Scott? Jack?
Yes, I am.
I'm not.
Amanda's not. So we're gonna have a position open in St. Albans Town. So we'll have to get that advertised, whatever the customary way we do that. Which I think is one of those, well, it used to be the messenger. I don't know how you do it. You could do it in the messenger and see if anybody sees it, but this also has a hyperlink that takes you to the website where you can print out your nominations, petition, and consent. And interestingly enough, it says 60 this time around. So we've heard 30 in the past, we've heard 60, we've heard, combinations of all of that. The important thing is that you want to get a few extras because not everybody is a registered voter, and they're not going to want to tell you that. If you say, are you a registered voter? They're, of course, then you will say yes, even if they're not. So you want to get your numbers like 65, just to give yourself a little cushion.
Nelda, if the board wanted us to, we could post that through the school district social media and all those places that there's an open seat for the town, and if there's anyone interested with directions on how to get a petition. And
That's a wonderful idea.
what?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
I can
sure-
ask the town to put it on their
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a
And we can
wonderful-
talk with Erin Ruschel. I'm sure she can put something out.
I don't think people realize how accessible this is, and that's why a lot of people hesitate to jump on it.
And how much fun?
What better way to spend a Wednesday?
Okay, so, thank you to the 3 of you for dealing with us for 3 years, and we wish you luck getting your signatures before the due date. Next item is the FY26 quarterly financial report. It's attachment 8F. And I think Bree is going to speak to this.
Yes, I am.
Where?
Okay, so if I can point you to attachment 7B, the third draft of the budget revenues and expenditures, all of the financial information is listed in there. And we'll just focus on the 2 middle columns, the FY26 working budget and the FY26 actual and encumbered expenses. Is everybody there before? No? Okay. I'm gonna take a quick pause then.
No, go back.
So it's 7B, FY27 third draft budget
Right there.
revenues and expenditures. We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, so, focusing in on those 2 middle columns of the FY26 working budget and the FY26 actual and encumbered expenses. This is so far where we're landing. I am working with the principals and the admin assistants to try to get everything encumbered for the rest of the school year. There's definitely more field trips that are being planned and supplies that the classroom teachers want. So getting all of those encumbered in there will be definitely beneficial so that we can see where we're ending our fiscal year right now. Because looking it over between the working and the actual encumbered. Just looking at local, which is the first page only, there's almost $5 million that has not been spent. Some of this is unencumbered or positions that aren't encumbered because we only encumber them once the position has been filled. As well as some of those supplies, field trips, things like that. With that, there's also items for capital that are not capital, but building improvements that the schools want to do that they're not using the capital funds for. For instance, they were looking to replace some of the shades over at City School, and those items would be paid out of the local budget opposed to the capital reserve funds that we have. So also looking here, there's the long-term debt that has been pretty much fully expended this year. There will be one more payment that's coming out. The big ticket item that we have in here, honestly, is the direct instruction. But those are those positions and some of the paraeducators that haven't been hired yet for. Flipping over to the next page is a special education and the Northwest Career and Technical Center listed on that page. Some of that is the pre-K, early education, paraeducators that haven't been hired. We're actively looking for some of those positions and haven't been able to fill those so far this year. And then you can see that our out-of-district placement, we had budgeted $3.7 million for that, and so far we've encumbered $2.6 million. So it's looking like we have been able to save some money this year, not putting or pushing kids out to the out of placement placements, out of district placements, but having them in-house with us. Or some of those students are still on the waiting list to go to the out-of-district placements. And then going down into the Northwest Career and Technical Center, there is still one position up there that has not been filled. Other than that, all the positions up there have been filled. Looking at it, we do have a little bit of a surplus, but things are, like I've said, they have not been encumbered fully, so we don't know the exact true costs of where we're landing right now. We are working with the Stephanie Ripley and Alexis, Renee Patterson and I, who is the grants coordinator and admin assistant to the special educator director. Both her and I are working with Stephanie and Alexis to try to work on this year and next year's placement of students to see what are we receiving right now for excess costs, and next year planning for their excess costs, getting all those students tracked on a spreadsheet so then we know where we should be landing for both years on this. So flipping to the last page, which is the revenues page, you can see again it's going to have the FY25 and FY27, so just focus right there on those two middle numbers. The FY26 is the adopted budget of what we've adopted. We did receive some extra grants in here that we weren't expecting, as well as the consolidated federal grants, which we weren't expecting that to be as much as what we did receive this year. And then the FY26 received is what we have so far received, not what we're projecting to receive from them, but just what has come in and what has been deposited into our account so far this year. So looking at that, we've received about half of what we have anticipated, and I know that we will be receiving quite a bit more. We are going to be requesting our reimbursements for our consolidated federal programs within the next couple of weeks. So we'll be getting those to come in and filter into our accounts as well. Along with tuition income, some of those have come in. Some of them have filtered in since I ran this report, but not all of our tuition payments will come in yet, and because we just finished billing for the first semester, so we still have that second semester that we have to bill for. Are there any questions?
On the consolidated federal grants, it was 3,437,000, and now we're budgeting a 1,170,000.
Yes.
Is
So
that because of the federal?
Yes, we had a substantial carry forward that came over from FY25 that we didn't use. So we had carryover funds that have come in, as well as we had over $500,000 for granted funds to us this year. We're not going to get that. So what I am budgeting, that 1.17 million in FY27, that is just the Title I allocation that we received in FY26.
We had that.
So that's why it's significantly reduced.
So are you saying that the amount in the FY27 proposed budget is money that we currently have in hand because of that carry forward?
No, we are not anticipating any carry forward. The Agency of Education told us do not try to budget or anticipate any carry forward. They told us to spend it this year.
The pullback by the federal government that was tried this past year has given the state has used as to all of us, and maybe we can talk more to this, but the advice has been, don't plan on any carry forward that you'll be able to access it after what happened this past summer where we weren't able to access it for a while, and it finally.
Well,
Charlie, that number there is based off of our straight allocation from this year and what we think we can anticipate based off of the guidance for next year.
so that's like the idea B, or what was it?
So this is Title I only.
Oh, just
So
the Title I.
This is our Title I allocation. With the consolidated federal programs, we get Title I, Title II, and Title IV. Title II and Title IV have been lopped off, or we're planning for a zero there. Title I will still be there, and so based off of the allocation that we've gotten this year and our numbers and the guidance that we've gotten, we feel pretty confident with that number as long as there aren't any major changes. But at the federal level, what we're hearing is that Title I is pretty stable. And so we can kind of count on that.
Okay, so it's not something we have in hand, but it's something that can be reliably counted on because it's not part of all the other cuts going on.
Correct. Yep.
Any other questions?
A lot of information. Thank you, Bree, for presenting all that. I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is item G, pre-K 8 through 8, building capacity. It's attachment 8G, and Bill is going to take us through this discussion.
Yes, yes, thank you, Nilda. At a month ago meeting, Jessica, you asked a question about like what's the capacity of our schools. So this is literally this is not what I would say it's accurate by the method of math that was used, which was square footage of instructional space divided by what the code requires for each student, which is 36 square feet per student. That's what National Code for educational spaces requires. But it's not really a formal facilities use plan. We had talked about that almost 18 months ago. Charlie, I think you asked the question about if we were going to talk about the use of the buildings, should we do it? We went out and looked, it was about 10,000. I'm doing this off of memory, so I can be bad, but it was around $10,000 to do a formal usage study. Because an example, if you know SATEC at all, inside SATEC, each house, they have 4 classrooms and then there's a center area. And if we're down in the younger grades, K through 2, there's some of that space is used for individual or small group instruction, some of it used for teacher prep area. That could be reconfigured and considered student space or not, but without doing a formal study of like, how's it actually being used? And how much is it being used? It's hard to say whether you count that space or not. And that's just an example. There's many of those others in a school building where you kind of have to have someone go through and talk to the staff and say, how are you using this? You know, and how that space. So for all of these, really just you can see for each of the 3 buildings, we listed the square footage, the number of classrooms, and we literally did the division, and then you get the number of students. So it's a math problem. It's a place to start a discussion from. I just don't want someone to take this and say, oh, city school could have almost 1,400 students in it. No, that's a misuse of the information. I want to explain how, I really want to be clear on how I did it.
No, it's interesting. I would also, just as our population continues to decline, you know, at some point it's not worth maintaining 4 buildings. Like maybe 8th grade shifts up to the high school and SATEC and City merge, or I don't know, you know, down the road, depending on what happens with enrollment. That's probably not a popular thing to say.
Well, I think it's a wise thing to say, I would say. I mean, the board you need to be informed. Doesn't mean you're gonna make it, and people just by being informed, and I'm being careful, right? I don't want people to watch this video and say, oh, they're going to do X, Y, and Z with the schools. No, that's not the intent. You asked a question, you know, and you still, when you have that type of study that I'm talking about, people will take that as intent. But the board, you need to be informed of your facilities and what their capacities are. So I think it's actually really wise. Doesn't mean you're doing anything. And people jump to that conclusion.
Thanks, Bill. Any questions for Bill? Additionally? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to move on to other business. First item is the warrants. I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of any individual board members participating remotely. May I have a second?
I'll second it, come on.
Thank you. Any discussion on the warrants? Okay, we're taking a vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
And Kuma?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Thank you. Next item is the superintendent report.
Thanks, Nelda. Mine's less of a report and more of a thank you. I sent all of you an email, I think last Friday, whenever that was. It was somewhere at the end of break. But January is School Board Appreciation Month. And I was in a learning webinar yesterday that's about school boards and superintendent partnerships. And they were talking about when it works really well and when it doesn't work really well. And they really talked, it was a woman from the University of Texas at Austin, and she's a researcher on high-functioning school boards and superintendents and the effects it has on student learning. And she showed some graphs. I wish I had the PowerPoints. She hasn't sent out the slides yet. But when school boards are politicized, student learning goes down. The research is there. And when school boards are unified in how they do their work and are planful and spend over 50% of their time talking about student results, student learning increases. So I thought about that and reflected about that over the night, and I said, you know, I'm really glad to work for Maple Run, because this board, it really matters how you act right here at the table. It impacts student learning. And this board has decided to work with the community to develop goals and a strategic plan, to say we want to have reports back on those goals, and we want to talk about those, and we want to know how it's going, and we don't just want quantitative numbers, we want to hear the stories of what's working and what's not working, and how can we help. And I just, after sitting through that hour of that PD, with a group called Leading Now that I've worked with, it just made me feel like, okay, I'm in the right place. And that made me really happy to work with all of you. And so I just wanted to thank you for your service, for your dedication to children, to your collaboration amongst each other. Doesn't mean we all think the same way or come with the same ideas or get to the same place, but you know, you work well together. And it's just, as your superintendent, I'm just really grateful for that. So I want to say thank you to all of you for everything you do. Thanks. The other thing is on the 16th, which is Martin Luther King Day, I believe. But
Martin Luther King is the 19th.
19th, thank you, Becky. The 19th, we would be having a board education session that Monday night. So we're right now scheduled for HHB and Title IX is what we talked about. So let's see where that goes. If that's something the board still wants to do, we can set that up and have that conversation.
Do you want me to get the
Well versed, I know.
Yeah.
Same.
That's
If
right.
you like us to look for something else, we can look for something else as well.
Bill, I have a question about the warrants.
Yeah.
I need the other board members' permission to change their 25 to 26.
Yeah, it's moving to 26. Moving to 26.
Oh, the date?
Yeah, the date.
Did you do it too, Charlie?
No. We made it.
We made it so
close. Thank you.
I've been
At
so
least it stays in
I think that it's okay to change it to the 26th.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I have a question on the HHB and Title IX. Did we do that? Is this a refresher? Did we do that last year?
We did some of that, and I think some of the work that let's hold that conversation for a little bit. We have a student issue that.
Is there school that Monday?
There is not.
There is not.
Or Tuesday.
Or Tuesday. I mean, I would move. I would move it.
Yeah, I don't want the staff to.
I don't
work
think
on a
you're
day
gonna get
off.
good attendance.
Yeah, no one should have to work on a day off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, only Bree.
I'm not even doing the presentation.
Thank
you.
Kids at school, if they don't have school, we shouldn't have the staff spend their evening with us when they've had the day off. Hopefully they do something fun to recharge.
I don't want you to understand
Secret's
that.
here for me.
I have a husband who's worked 24 hours.
I've done it before too.
Anytime we get that's not.
That's all I have, Nelda.
That's all you have, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to board announcements. Anyone have a board announcement to make?
I'll throw one out, just, trying to get my, there's so many different music things coming up. All New England's music festival in the spring is, they had auditions last month, and from what I heard, BFA did very well and is going to be very well represented there.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just have one thing. I wish everyone a happy new year.
Thank you, Neil.
The board observations and reflections, that's an ongoing process that we are all doing as we attend different events, and we'll keep doing them. Agenda items for future meetings. I don't think we have a list going right now, but, okay. I'm going to move on to the executive session. So I make motion to move item student matter into executive session per VSA section 313A1 after making a specific finding, which we are, that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. Will someone second that motion, please?
I'll second.
Okay, we have call for a vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes?
Jessica.
She had to step away for a second.
Okay. Garvey,
Yes?
Mary Ann,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Hilda votes yes.
Joanna?
Motion carries with one.
Joanna?
Did I forget someone?
Joanna, that's okay. I was after Jessica.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Joanna? Joanna?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so, majority approved that motion. And then I'm gonna make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss item student matter at 7:25 PM per 1 VSA subsection 313A1. Would someone second my motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? No, we're not having it now. I'm gonna. Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jess, okay, Joanna,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
Nakuma,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
and Hilda. Jessica, would you like to, do you feel comfortable voting
Yes.
on, moving to executive session?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a majority vote yes. So we're now in executive session and we need just you, Bill, or Becky?
Actually, Megan.